Good morning, coaches. My name is Barclay Radebaugh from the Nations of Coaches. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today is session 5. Wow, they've gone fast. Excited about that. Session 5 of our Nations of Coaches growth series. And this morning, we're super excited to welcome the head coach from Texas A&M, Joni Taylor. Coach Taylor, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we start the morning with a problem. You're in Texas.
Yep.
NASA is in Texas. Often in NASA, they say, Houston, we have a problem. So I'm saying College Station, we have a problem. So, Coach, if we go through your list of team and personal accomplishments, we're not going to get to the clinic. It's been amazing. So I'm going to give the Joni Taylor Cliff Note introduction. Sponsored. Got to get this in. Sponsored by Nations of Coaches. All right, you ready?
Let's go.
This gal can coach. Unbelievable job at Georgia. Unbelievable. Incredible job at Texas A&M in the tournament in year 2. 10-game improvement. That's hard to do. And then this summer brought home the gold for our country with Team USA, played a vital, important role in that team's success, and does it all, coaches, with incredible grace and class and a God-honoring program. 2 daughters, JC and Drew, husband Darius, and the Connecticut son had another great year. We'll let everybody figure that one out, Coach. Welcome. Super glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for getting up early this morning. You've had so much success, Coach. Let's get started. What drives you? What's your why?
There's different stages to that. So when I was younger, my drive was to just not disappoint. Like I never wanted to disappoint. I felt like, coming from a small town, obviously I'm from Mississippi, not only my parents, but there were so many people who poured into me, who just pushed me along and helped me chase my dreams. Like I never wanted to disappoint. So that's what drove me when I was in college, early in my career, was just never to disappoint. And that kind of became the same reason as an assistant coach. I never wanted to disappoint our players. I never wanted to disappoint like my boss, the leader, whoever I was working under. And then as I continued to find my purpose and just chase, what I knew God had for me, my why became exactly that. Like basketball is the vessel in which I can impact lives. Like I love everything about coaching, right? I'm one of the most competitive people you're going to run across. If we're kicking rocks, I'm going to try to beat your tail. I love recruiting. I love X's and O's. I love being on the practice floor. I love everything about the game of basketball, but I am positive that the reason that I'm a basketball coach is because that is my way in. That is the vessel. That is the conduit for me to impact lives, and help women chase their dreams. And so that is my why, that is my purpose. And I wake up every day and just pray that God uses me in that way.
Well, that's great. I love that. I can relate to that competitive nature. My wife hopes, she always reminds me of how competitive I am in everything. So, wow. You've been a head coach for a while now. You're a veteran head coach. What do you know now, Coach, as a veteran head coach that you did not know your first year?
To go with my gut, to go with my instincts, to not be so strict. I can remember my first year, I felt like I had to stick to this was the plan, this is what I was doing, whether it was, in recruiting, on the practice floor, and just finding some flexibility in reading the room. Like I've always been able to read the room, but as a first year head coach early in my career, I was like, I'm reading the room, but I'm going to keep doing it the way I had on this practice plan. And now, like, you can read the room to say, hey, we need to pull out some dodgeballs and play dodgeball. We need to cut this drill short. We need to switch some things around in how we're having this meeting or whatever it is we're doing. So what I know now, and what I'm listening to now that I just ignored out of stubbornness as a young coach, was just my gut on like being able to pivot and be flexible in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of veteran head coaches that it can't be so strict every day. There's got to be some flexibility in that. And you have a great staff. We've gotten to meet some of your staff. What are 3 or 4? We got some young coaches listening all over the country that want to be where you are. and their first step is to get an assistant coaching job or to get a higher level assistant, can continue to climb the ladder. When you're looking for assistant coaches, what are 3 or 4 things that you look for that are super important to you as a veteran head coach?
I'll start by saying this. Like, I want to give a shout out to the staff we have. Like, I've been fortunate that I haven't had to hire assistant coaches a ton. Hired Rodney Hill last year, and that was the first time since my getting the job in 2015 at Georgia that I had to hire an assistant coach. So I've been fortunate to have
That's
a lot of
great.
continuity between, Rob, Chelsea, Catherine Graham, and just the people that we had on our staff. Karen Lang was on our staff at Georgia as well. But so what I look for is my weaknesses, what I am lacking. I want, I want to make sure I'm closing the gap in the areas where I know I need help. I'm looking for character. I'm looking for high morals. I'm looking for hardworking people. And I do all that mostly when I'm on the road recruiting.
Mm.
I tell you what, like, as an assistant coach, you're being interviewed every single day, whether you know it or not. I keep a notebook in my bag, and I'm constantly writing down names, like who's there early, who's on time, who's watching the game, who's talking to their buddy the entire time and has no idea what's happening in the game, who's sitting next to their friends talking about their boss. Like, my ears are listening to everything as I'm watching. And so just to, always know that people are watching you. That's how I got hired at Louisiana Tech. That's how I got hired at Georgia, from those head coaches observing me when I didn't even know it. And I, in turn, hired in some ways, hired Chelsea the same way. I watched Chelsea for a really long time when she was at Rutgers, and obviously working for Vivian Stringer, I knew a lot about her without having to ask her anything, but I watched her for a long time. And when I got the job at Georgia, I called her up. But I think those things, number one, I want to make sure I cover my deficiencies. I want to make sure they are people who I'm gonna like when we're not on the
Right.
basketball floor, when we're not traveling, because you spend a ton of time. Like, this is my family. And so I want to make sure they're people who I line up with in all the ways that matter off the floor. And then I want people who can do everything. I want you to be able to coach. I want you to recruit. I want you to be able to speak in front of our players, our donors. I want well-rounded assistants, because I want all of my assistants to have the opportunity to be a head coach.
Wow, Coach Taylor, always watching. Assistant coaches are always interviewing. Well-rounded. That's great stuff. Great stuff. I know, all of these, I just run out of ink. That's valuable information. Daily disciplines. Great head coaches have daily disciplines, things they do every day in preparation for staff meetings, for practice, for making 100 decisions that you make. Head coaches make 100 decisions before noon. And what are 3 or 4 of your daily personal disciplines that you do and that have led to your success?
The first one, some people on this call might know about me, but my first daily discipline that is non-negotiable is that I'm an early riser. I wake up at 3:40 every morning.
Mm.
That is my time to wake up. That is the time I have for myself. Nobody's bothering me at 3:40, not my husband, not my kids, recruits. Like, that is my time. So I wake up at 3. It used to be 4. I pushed it back to 3:40 last year. So I wake up at 3:40 in the morning. And by 4 o'clock, I am sitting down at my desk, and that is my time with God. That's my time to get myself centered, to check in with myself and figure out, like, what is that feeling I've got that I need to take care of, and where is it coming from, and how do I fix it? It's also my workout time. Working out is a huge part of who I am. It's my stress reliever. I'm a runner. I like to pound the pavement. I'm a 5 a.m. Orange Theory girl. You can find me there. And so that's my time. So from 3:40 to 6:30 is my safe space, and I don't compromise it for anybody. And I'm fortunate to have our parents help us. My in-laws and my parents alternate living with Darius and I, so that they can help take care of our girls. So they get them up, help get them dressed, and then I take them to school every morning, and then I start my day. So my first discipline is to carve out time for me, because if I'm not my best self, then I can't help serve the people who are under my charge. And so that's the first thing. One of the other things that I try to do is I've tried to close my door more. My door is
Mm.
always open. You can still come knock on it, but I have found that when the door is open, like, every 5 minutes, somebody's coming in and out, coming in and out, coming in and out. And I'm fine with that in the non-conference or even before season starts. But once the season starts, there's just times that I need to close my door and have a moment to myself, whether it's to process the meeting I just had, the telephone call that I just had, so that I'm not running right into the next thing without processing the last meeting I went away from. And that was something that I didn't do, my first 5 years, I would just go from one thing to the next, and that's how my day was planned. And then I get to the end of the day and I haven't processed any of it. And so now I try to have space in between those meetings, and I just shut the door for 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it takes until the next meeting to process what just happened and give it some time to think about it in that moment. And so that's something that has really helped me as well.
Wow, Coach,
Yep,
340.
340.
That's a record. I know coaches like to get up early. That's a record. I love that. And I love that you're taking individual time to think about your thinking and to, Tim Tosopoulos is a great friend of our ministry, the former president of Chick-fil-A, and he talks about that consistently, about thinking about your thinking and about having time by yourself. The greater the responsibility, the more time by yourself that is needed. So Darius is with Connecticut Sun. You're the head coach at Texas A&M, Power Five, family time. Got to be strategic in that, I'm sure. And what's your strategy? Two great girls. What's your strategy with that? And how do you create family time?
So, I'll start by saying there's not much balance to it. Work-life balance is not real for me because I don't balance it well at all. I'm a workaholic. But my motto is be where your feet are. I do that pretty well. And so my feet are at work a whole lot more than they're at home. I'm fortunate that our family can travel with us, and so my kids are with me. Now they're in school, so on weekends, weekend travel, they're with me. Any long tournaments, they're with me. Our family travels with us. And so I'm very fortunate to work at an institution that allows that. I wake up every day and just say, Lord, give me what I need. And then the other thing that I try to do is non-negotiable. If I don't have a meeting, I drive my girls to school every single day. And that 15 minutes in the car is very, very powerful. It's just us. We talk, we engage, we sing, we make videos and send them to some of our friends and our people that we're thinking about praying for. It's a special time. And then when I go home in the evening, I've already missed dinner. I hardly ever have dinner with them. I got home last night at 7:45. And so by the time I get home, that hour and a half I have with them before they go to bed, my phone is put away. I really try to make sure that I am present. And same thing for Darius. He does the same thing, and we also try to carve out time with each other. But the ability for us to travel and bring our family with us when he's in season and when I'm in season is really, really helpful.
Yeah, that travel's so important. I loved when my family traveled and we could be together at tournaments, and I really enjoyed that. The Olympic experience, just quickly, just the Olympic experience, that had to be amazing, Coach.
It was, I'm not sure I fully processed it.
Yeah.
I really am not sure. Even now, it's October 17th, and I'm not sure I've processed it. When you're in it, it's the grind. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to help Cheryl in any way possible and help those young women, be great and be elite. And then, to be very honest, the feeling you have is relief. You have relief, and obviously you're excited. There's joy, there's tears, but there's
Yeah.
relief. Like there's a pressure and expectation that I want. I want that. Um, and I'm not sure that you get back and you get thrown right back into, okay, now it's Texas A&M. We got to get going. I've been gone 27 days. I've been gone almost a month. Like where do we pick up? And so I fully haven't processed all of it. But just incredible, humble, grateful, and something that I will never, ever, ever forget.
And a great compliment to your staff that you're able to be gone 27 days and things that Texas A&M carry on well. Defensively, Coach, in year two, I mean, you guys made tremendous progress defensively. Top 30 in the country in field goal percentage defense. Wow. 37% from the floor, holding teams to 37% from the floor. That's elite. Very, very hard to do. I mean, that's an incredible stat. 29% from three. Teams shot against you from three, and then holding teams to 58.7 points per game, top 50 in the country in year two. And just the progress that you made. So we're excited. Coaches on from all over the country, from overseas. We're excited to hear from you, Coach, about defense and your defensive philosophies that you had at Georgia that have carried on to Texas A&M, and you've been so successful on the defensive end. So the screen is yours, and we're excited to learn, Coach. So you take it from here.
Thank you. So while we're getting going, I'll start by saying thank you. I appreciate all that. And as I'm listening to those stats, like I'm frustrated. If I'm being honest, I'm frustrated because, you know, those stats are really, really good, but we are not defensively where we want to be. We want to be in the top 10 in all those categories. And so when I hear you say top 30, I cringe. I know that sounds crazy, but we still have some room for improvement. And you're going to see that on some of the clips that we show you. But we do pride ourselves on being an elite defensive team. You know, our motto is defense travels. You know, there's times where offensively, you know, the shot's just not going in, the ball's not going in the basket, but defense is can come with you because that's about your effort. That's about your ability to lock into what it is we're trying to do from a scouting report perspective defensively. And so defense travels is kind of our motto. One of the first things that we want to do is we want to dictate and disrupt. And so that's what we kind of talk about. So our guiding principles, we want to dictate and disrupt. If you're on defense, it's an emergency. It is 911 anytime we're on defense, not when there's penetration, not when we're in a scramble situation. The moment our feet go from offense to defense, it is an emergency. And that's how we coach it. And that's how we try to treat it. And then we want to take away catch and shoot threes. We've got elite people in women's basketball, obviously elite players. And so taking away catch and shoot threes is something that is a primary goal for ours. Our ball screen defense, we pride ourselves on that. I'm a hedge defensively. That's my go-to. We want to hedge. I've shifted since coming to Texas A&M because of just roster and managing who we have and what we can do. So we've done some other things as of late, but we want to be really good in whatever we're doing defensively in a ball screen. And then we just talk about guarding your yard. Like if you are guarding the ball, guard your yard, guard your area. We're always guarding a player and a half, like a space and a half. So if you're not guarding the ball, you're guarding your man and you're taking up space somewhere else. So guard your yard, whether that's on the ball or off the ball. And then we want to control the defensive boards. We want to rebound 75% of our opponent's misses. And so those are our guiding principles. They don't change. And that's kind of who we are. So the first thing I want to talk about is just because we ask our team to play defense at such a high level, we don't do any of it in the summer. We don't do anything defensively all summer or fall. We do not start talking defense until the first day of practice. So this year, our first day of practice was sometime at the end of September, like everybody's. And that was the first time we talked about anything defensively. And that's frustrating for me to watch them all summer do crap that I know they shouldn't be doing, especially for our veterans who know better. But again, we asked them to play it at such a high level and so hard that we would wear them into the ground if we defended all summer and then asked them to do it from November to end of March or April. So when we start practice in September, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to defend. And if you saw our practice plan, it would actually be like 45 minutes to an hour of defense. And then we flip to offense. Because again, defensively, that's who we are. We want to get it in because we haven't done it all summer, all fall. And also I want to see who can offensively execute when you've already practiced for an hour and a half and things are hard and you're tired. And so it helps us offensively as well. But the first thing we're going to do is one-on-one support. This is a drill that allows us to really talk about dictating and disrupting. So what you'll see when this video starts is we go from sideline to lane line to sideline. And we want to be like touching the ball. We want to be able to touch the ball. And so we're cutting the court here. We're turning them as many times as we can. Once the defender gets close to half court, we want to cut them and send them to the sideline. Then we want to go belly to belly when they pick the ball up. We trap in some areas, and this helps teach to trap, a moving trap, and go belly to belly. So if you see here, there's a coach that's, if you look at it now, let's stop. There's a Chelsea standing on the sideline, the half court, reminding them to cut it and go belly to belly. We have a coach that's up at the ball, making sure that they are touching. We want to be able to touch. Everybody can't defend at the same level in terms of their athleticism, but you've got to be an arm's length away. And if you're really gifted, you want to be able to touch them. And so that's what we talk about. But it's really just turning them as many times as possible and getting up under them. Now you can see us cut the floor. We go belly to belly. So after we've done that, then we add another offensive player. So in 2-on-2 support, there's 2 offensive players. The one rule the offense has is that they've got to stay even with the ball. Offensive player has to stay even with the ball. So your same rules apply as 1-on-1 support when you're guarding the ball. You are trying to turn them as many times as possible. You're in the backcourt. You've got support. Be aggressive. Turn them. We don't want the ball to see. Don't let the ball see is what we always say. Don't let the ball see. Right? If you're not guarding the ball, you can see the second person is in help here, right? So this is to really, now we get over, like if you see we're really, really far over in our support, but that's just to foster the mindset of you've got somebody behind you, right? And I also want to create a hard closeout situation for our second defender when they have to close out to the ball. So we start here, we get it turned, we're turning it, okay? And then once we get to the half court, it's normal rules. It's normal rules. So right here, we haven't done a really good job. Like, this isn't good. We get beat. So the rule is if we get beat, our person in support comes up and takes the ball, and the player who got beat is Xing off and they're getting into support. Okay, so we see that. Now we're flying around. So right now we should be cutting. The ball has picked a side. We should be cutting. Our posture should be cut and send them to the sideline. If it's in the middle of the floor, we want to contain. Otherwise, we want to cut them. So right now, she lets her come back middle. That shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't be coming back middle right here. Okay, so stop. In this play, we're not close enough. We're not close enough. We want to dictate. The ball can do whatever it wants to right now. She's got her head up. She's comfortable. When that ball gets passed, we should be getting up in her at the proper angle, but she should feel our heat immediately. So this right here is not good enough. Okay, so we sprint to support. We go back. The other thing that's important in this drill is to really teach your offense to go hard. Right now, they're taking it easy on each other. So Lay had the ball. She dribbled it twice, never got turned, and then just pass it. That's not what that should look like. We should be driving, trying to beat our defensive player so that we can really see if what we're doing is working. And again, once we get into the half court, it's normal half court rules, whatever that is for you. Support, gap, deny, whatever that looks like. After we do 2-on-2, so how this works is we go 1-on-1 support the first day. The second day, we're going to go 1-on-1 support again, and then we're going to introduce 2-on-2 support. Then we come back the next day, we're going to go 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. So every single day, they know we're going to build it, but they also know we're going to start back at 1. So you're constantly getting the reps of doing each one for the entire time that we are putting in our support. So in 3-on-3 support, our rules are the same as 2-on-2 and 1-on-1 if you're guarding the basketball. Same thing, you've got 3 across the baseline. The offense has to stay even with the ball. The offense can't run out. If the ball is in the middle of the floor, once it gets close to half court, then we teach contain. We don't want to turn it in the middle of the floor and they can do whatever they want. Once we get across close to half court, if the ball is on the sideline, then we want to cut the floor. So right now, we're not up enough on the ball. The ball got passed, and that's too much space. To be in the backcourt, that's too much space. We want to be up. We want to be arm's length. We want to be turning. The offense is too comfortable right now. But you can see us in support. So we've got 1 in support and somebody else in help. Okay. And now we're scrambling and we're playing. So right here, that should have been a cut the floor situation. So here we go again. Stop it. We've got 2 people in support under the basketball. You can see this last defender over here is pretty far over. Her man is on the baseline, and this is how far over in support that she is, because we really want to emphasize our offensive player that's guarding the ball, knowing they've got some help behind them. Again, we're not close enough. So now we come at this angle, and I can see that Sahara is thinking cut the floor. She's not close enough to KK, but by her angle, I can tell she's thinking about cut the floor, cut the floor. Now, mind you, this is the 3rd day of practice, right? So this looks a lot different on day 10 than it does on day 3, but you can tell she's thinking cut the floor, but we're too worried about getting beat. All of us are too worried about getting beat. We want to be closer. We want to dictate. We want the offensive player to have her head down, worrying about us, not seeing the floor and being able to do whatever she wants. So this day we started 3-on-3 support on the side instead of in the middle. Same rules apply, but I wanted to see our help because our 2 people in support weren't doing a good job of talking. They have the freedom to either, if our on-ball defender gets beat right here, obviously the person closest to her would come take the ball and there's an X out. Where we were struggling this particular day or week was the person who got beat and was Xing out. Was she running to far side help, or was she running to be like the next support? And it's based on where everybody is and how quickly the ball is moving. And we were struggling with that concept. So to help them get into a scramble situation, we started the ball on the side of the floor instead of in the middle. But you can start it wherever you want. Offense just needs to stay even with the ball. So here we are. So again, we could get up finally. Now you can see this is a mirror over here. The ball, her man's got the ball and she waits on him to come to her. That is a no-no. As soon as that ball's passed, she should be sprinting up to the ball and dictating. Okay, we don't want to wait. But you can see Vanessa scrambling to get in support. Janae's telling her where she is and what to do. That's a really good job there in our support. You can tell there's some talk and there's some direction being given. Okay, now the ball's going to get passed, and Janae was coming up. Okay, again, once you get into the half court, it's your normal 3-on-3 rules. In the first couple of times that we do it, we don't let our guys play. We want to get to half court and then be done. And then once we have a concept of what the back court looks like, we'll let them play into the full court. Okay, so again, this is one of our big girls. This is Jada Malone. Again, she comes up cautiously because she's worried about getting beat, and we are trying to enforce it doesn't matter if you get beat in the backcourt. We don't care about that, right? Half court's a little different, but in the backcourt, I don't care. I want you to get up. I want you to dictate. I want you to disrupt. You've got some help behind you. So Sahara's in a support position. Preston sees Sahara in a support position. And so he picks his ball up because he sees her, right? We want the offensive player, we want somebody to always be in front of them. So he sees that, he passes the ball. Sahara's been in our program for 3 years. She's picked up on this really well. You can see her posture is, I'm coming back to my man and I'm in a cut the floor position. She's in a position to cut the floor because she realizes that the ball's on the sideline and I want to keep him there. After we go 3-on-3 support, we build it to 4-on-4. We do that by taking 2-on-2 support, so 2 players that are on the baseline, and then we add 2 players at half court. We have one of those players at half court cut up, and we deny that and send them back. And then we have our other player at half court. Obviously, that puts you in a help position if the ball's not on your side of the floor. And that's how we add our 4-on-4 support, and we build it the same way. And once we've done building that, we pretty much have our backcourt philosophy intact. We've also created the mentality of dictating and disrupting. And if we wanted to put in a press, now we add our 5th player. And if we put them in the back, it's a 2-2-1. If we put them in the front of it, it's a 1-2-2. But we've shaped the rules around it by building our 1-on-1 support, our 2-on-2 support, our 3-on-3. And so that's the first thing that we do. As we're doing that, we also do a ton of closeout drills. We're going to do a closeout drill almost every single day. We have different closeouts, drills that we do, but the first thing we do is we talk about our closeouts, and these are our closeouts, the different types of closeouts we have. A normal closeout for us is arm's length away or being able to touch. You heard me talk about that in the 1-on-1 support drills because that is the non-negotiable. If we haven't told you anything at all, assume we're in a normal closeout position. A flush closeout is for a shooter who finds themselves in trouble when they put the ball on the floor, right? So we want to flush that person off the 3-point line, forcing them to put the ball on the floor, always to the baseline side. The objective is for us to sprint back in the play or to offer a rear contest if they take a pull-up jumper. We want them putting on the floor. So who's a flush player, right? Caitlin Clark would not be a flush player. Yes, she shoots the 3 really, really well, but she also creates when she puts it on the floor. She can get to the rim. She can pass. She's an excellent passer. So she would not be a flush closeout. This is for a shooter who is limited in what they do once they cannot shoot the ball. They're going to turn it over. They're going to get themselves in trouble. They don't want to take a tough 2. So those are who flush closeouts are for, okay? And then our short closeout is someone who we would rather shoot it than get to the rim or put the ball on the floor. We want to keep our spacing and give them a step too if they're obviously faster than us or really, really athletic. So those are our 3 definitions of closeouts. Again, if nothing has been said to you, you are always in a normal closeout position. If you are in a flush or a short closeout situation, that's something that we will dictate, that we will do in a controlled way in practice or put on a scouting report as we get into season. And so to build this, these 3 closeouts, this is just a 2-on-2 closeout drill, but it's very, very controlled. We have 2 offensive players, a coach is in the middle. They pass the ball to the offensive player, and we want them to take 1 dribble to the middle first, because if the ball goes middle, we want to stop it from going there. We want to send everything to the sideline, to the baseline. And so we have them take 1 dribble middle just to show our footwork and sending them to half court and not letting them turn the corner on us going middle. And then our practice guys are going to put it on the floor 1 or 2 times. They're going to skip it. Our other player's going to do the same thing. And then we're going to get out of the drill. Okay. So we're passing it here. You can stop and see that we are sending everything to the baseline in our footwork. We want a top shoulder closeout. We've taken it 1 dribble middle to stop it. And now he's dribbling it. And we've created that same situation for our next player. This is a normal closeout. We've stopped middle penetration, and now we've sent it baseline. Our support is here. Now, obviously, we don't want them to get too far in help because they're in real life, there's other players in the floor. We just want them moving, seeing ball and man. Once they've done that, they skip it again. We have a closeout. The drill is over. This is just to teach what it is we want. So here, Talia didn't take a really high step. Like her closeout was bad. The practice player just let her off the hook, but he could have turned middle here. We want a top shoulder closeout in all those situations. Okay. So it's a little bit better there. Sahara's really active on the backside. Ball's coming. See her stance, top shoulder. She doesn't let it go middle. She's active. She's on the ball. We close out. Drill's over. This is a normal closeout. Normal closeout. Ball can go either way. Top shoulder, high step, no middle. Close it off. Here comes Janae. Top shoulder, no middle, no middle, right? Baseline, baseline. We want to be right there on the ball. So this is, again, controlled by our practice players. We'll turn them loose after we get the concept of what a normal closeout looks like. But right now, it's super controlled to make sure our footwork is what it needs to be. You know, you have to coach your practice players as much as you coach your team because they can screw up a drill, right? They get excited. You're happy they're there. But I think sometimes they think they're playing for a contract. And so you have to coach your practice players sometimes as much as your team, or they will mess up the drill and you're frustrated with your team. And it's really your practice players, right? So make sure you've got somebody who's constantly coaching your practice players as well. Okay. Again, normal closeout, we ask our post players to defend the same way we ask our guards to, right? And we can always pull back, but in the teaching of it, we want them doing the same exact thing. So Jada is really right here. She stopped it from going middle. There's baseline. Vanessa's ready to go. Vanessa's long, athletic. She does a really good job here. You know, she lets it go middle, but she stops it and gets back underneath it and contains the ball. So that's our normal closeout. This would be our flush, right? We always want to flush to the baseline side. We send it. This is our shooter who we want to put the ball on the floor. We flush them off the 3-point line. It's not a flyby. It's not a flyby. We want to stay in the play. And then we sprint underneath it and we drill a rear contest. We really try to drill a rear contest without fouling. Okay. Flush it, get back underneath it, box out. Flush them off the line. Now the flush, you got to make sure they're really close, right? We don't want to flush them and they sidestep it. You got to flush them really close where you can stay with them if they sidestep and try to shoot the 3. So we'll just let this run. You can see the footwork of the flush, right? Then get back under the ball. That was a great job by Vanessa of getting back under it and getting an actual contest and then not being a rear contest. So I think you coach your players based on what they can do. It's really hard for some of them to get back underneath the ball and face it to get a contest. But if they are capable of that, then demand that from them. Demand it from them. Flush them, get back underneath it. This is similar to not an ice by any means, because the ice, you're still there, but the principle of ice is the same. Once you send it baseline, you want our guard to get back underneath the ball. So this also helps you when you talk ice or cutting the floor on ball screens. This principle helps you incorporate that as well, letting them understand, like, my responsibility is to still get back in front of the ball. So after we've done flush and everybody's done flush to both sides of the floor, then we'll get to a short closeout. Our short closeout, sometimes it's harder, believe it or not, it's harder for our players. I'm like, no, you're too close to them. So again, we're not in short closeout situations a ton, but we want to be short. This is somebody who we want to be in between on. So Janae's got pretty good footing here. Now in this situation, she's too close, which is what happens when they put the ball on the floor. Then their instinct is to get up and get up and get up. And that's when we get beat if we have somebody who's a short closeout. So right now she's too close. Let's see what Soleil does. Soleil's got her spacing. Good. That's pretty good. We want to keep our spacing once the ball gets put on the floor. And so that's the detail for a short closeout. Sahara's really good at it. She closed out short and she kept her spacing once the ball got put on the floor. Talia is not very good at this. Talia is aggressive. She's got a nose for defense. And she struggled to be in the short closeout. So we kept stopping it. And look, you can see me saying like, no. And so again, my conversation with her is, hey, listen, you're not going to be in this situation a lot. We don't want to take away your defensive instincts, but for this drill, you got to play him short. So here we go again. Let's see if she does it. Nope. There she is, right back on the ball. And I'm like, well, no, this is not what we're doing, right? And so again, Jada does a good job with this. She's someone who's been in our program for a while. And Vanessa does a good job as well of keeping her spacing once the ball gets put on the floor of what a short closeout should look like, right? We want to contain in that situation. And so after we've done that, now we turn them loose and we start doing all types of closeouts. And we have, 3-player closeouts, 4-player closeouts, one-on-one closeouts, depending on what it is we're training that day. So this is a 2-man scramble closeout. It's a great drill for players to close out from being in a help or recover or support situation. You need 3 offensive players for this drill, 2 on the wing, 1 in the corner, and the 2 defenders are matched up with the offensive side that is loaded. So the 2-player side, the wing in the corner. A coach will start with the ball in the middle, and then the ball is passed to the offensive player. So this is a clip from when we were at Georgia. It's the best clip of it. We haven't done this well at Texas A&M. We just haven't done it well. So stop. You can see that our 2 players are in deny and in help. Ball gets passed to the defender that's not being guarded. What's important here is that you tell your practice player to hold it for a second, because if you don't, what you will find is that the player who's in help that's got to go meet the ball outside the paint, they just run from gap straight to the ball. And that's not what you want. You want them to be stopped on the white line. And then when the ball gets put on the floor, you want them to go stop the ball. So the principle is that the person who was guarding the ball got beat. This is our rotation. Help comes outside the paint. The other defender drops. And now the offensive player can pass it anywhere he wants, wing or corner. And we're creating a closeout situation. So we're sprinting top shoulder closeout. You can see Gabby goes top shoulder, ball gets passed. Here comes top shoulder closeout, ball gets skipped again, and then the drill is over. But be there on the catch. We want to be where we're supposed to be on the catch. So watch how quickly we move, right? Outside help, here comes Maya, top shoulder, here comes Jordan, top shoulder. Be there on the catch, right? Everything is quick. So at Georgia, right now we really are teaching like be in deny, like shoulder in the passing lane, aggressive. And what you'll see as this drill goes on is if they're not shoulder in the passing lane, we'll just pass it to the offensive player until they get there. And we'll just keep passing it to the offensive player until they get there. Right? So right here, Karen's going to pass this ball, I believe, because Kate doesn't have a shoulder in the passing lane. If the ball can get passed through, you're not where you're supposed to be. So we're going to make sure you get there before we start so they don't cheat the drill. Outside help. Here comes a rotation, top shoulder, be there on the catch. So there's jabbing. Stop it. What's really impressive about this is when you watch Maya on the backside, how quickly Maya moves. We do this a couple of times because as a post player, Javin was just really hesitant to get herself shoulder in the passing lane. So we're going to keep passing it until you get a deflection and get your hand on the ball. But look how quickly Maya's moving. Like, it's impressive, and you got to drill it. Whatever you want out of them, you got to make sure you drill it until they do it that way. So here we come again, top shoulder closeout, top shoulder closeout. So it's a great way to put them in scramble situations. And again, this is controlled. Our guys don't have a dribble. Once we get this concept down, we'll turn our practice players loose and let them play. So once the ball is skipped to them right now, we'll let them play. Right now, they can't play, they can't shoot, they can just pass it because we want to drill the concept. So you can't put the cart before the horse. If you were to just turn, for us anyway, if we were just to turn our practice players loose and let them play, we wouldn't be ready to defend, and we would actually defeat and discourage our players. And so you've got to be able to bring them along at the rate in which they can handle what it is you're asking them to do. I think it's important too in these closeout drills, when you can get it right, to stop it when it's going really good and not let them get discouraged. So again, this is where having a feel for when to keep the drill going or when to stop the drill is really, really important. This is a 4-man chair closeout. This just dictates and really reinforces like how we want our stance to be. So what we teach is top shoulder on the wing, sending it to the sideline baseline. If the ball is in the slot, we play it straight up. We don't send it one way or the other in the slot. We play it straight up. And so this closeout drill, the defender starts under the basket. On the whistle, defender 1 is going to come out and they're going to have a top shoulder closeout and they're going to just chop their feet. On the second whistle, they're going to sprint to the back in the circle and the next defender's coming out. And now we have 2 going. One's in the slot, one's on the wing. On the next whistle, the third one's coming in. We've got 2 slot closeouts. We've got a wing closeout, top shoulder. So you can see their stance. Everything is straight up in the slot, top shoulder. And now we've got 4 going. This drill continues until everybody does it. Once the first offender is at the 4th chair, they sprint to the baseline and they sprint to half court, and then they turn around and point their pistols and get ready for transition defense. So it's a way for us to kind of get a little of that in. Sometimes we have them sprint down and get a shot. It just depends on what it is we want to do that day. Sometimes they're sprinting in for a layup, they're sprinting in to get a shot if they're a guard, to get a free throw line jumper if they're a post player or whatever. And then sometimes it's straight defense. We do this to both sides of the floor. So once everybody has gone to one side, we'll start the drill from the other side of the floor. But again, you can just see this is reinforcing our stance. Top shoulder on the wing, sending it to the baseline, and straight up in the slot. If they just start doing the drill, sometimes it looks like they're just doing some jumping jacks, or they're not in the stance, or if the ball is put on the floor, they're not in a position to guard. We'll stop it and say, hey, like, start over. Or if they put the ball on the floor right now, you're beat. Don't do the drill. And so these are just things to reinforce how we want our stance to be based on where the ball is. If that chair was moved to the baseline, it would be a top shoulder closeout. So everything's for us is top shoulder unless we're in the slot and then we play it straight up. This is 2-man skip closeouts, another closeout drill for us. And what we do in that situation is we start the ball in the middle of the paint in a stack, and the bottom defender rolls the ball out to the offensive player. In this drill, we again are creating a help situation. So it starts with our this one is in the middle of the drill, but the point is the bottom one takes the ball. When it's skipped, the person who is in help comes to the ball, and we are getting to the baseline, and then that person who was in skip is off, and the next person comes in. Right? So you're going to be able to guard both sides of it. You're going to guard it. We got another person coming in, ball gets passed. Now the person who was in help guards the ball. If they can get their hand on it and get a deflection, great. Then the person in the bottom of the drill is coming in. So on the skip, the new person in the drill is always taking the skip. The person who is in help is the next rotation. So this is just something that we continue to do. You have to watch your practice players here. They're supposed to be on the wing, and as this drill goes, they keep inching themselves towards the slot, which changes our drill, changes the closeout we want to have. After we've done 2-man skip closeouts, we will add a dribble. So not on this first one, but on the skip, we'll add a dribble baseline, and then we'll have that person in help rotate, which is similar to the drill you just saw when we were at Georgia. It creates that rotation. But again, just trying to be there on the catch, ball gets passed, be top shoulder, be where you're supposed to be, and play from there. So these drills are 3 minutes. You can see there's 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. I believe this drill started at the 3-minute mark or the 4-minute mark. Our closeout drills are not things that we keep them in for a really long time. It's to reinforce what we've struggled with or a new concept we need to put in based on who we're about to play. But there's going to be some type of closeout drill every single day. Every single day we hit it and get off of it. So those are just some examples of how we build our one-on-one support to our 4-on-4 support, which allows you to then play in the full court if you want to put in some type of press, and just some of the closeout drills that we do. You can add ball screens to that. In your closeout, you can skip it, add a ball screen to work on your ball screen defense. There's just so many different ways you can add or build those closeout drills. But those are some of the things that we do to just reinforce how we want to dictate and disrupt when we're guarding the basketball.
Coach, wow. That's great. I really, really enjoyed that. Just for those taking notes, someone to coach your practice players. That's great. I love your terminology. Defense is an emergency. No catch and shoot threes. That's really hard. That's really hard. That's a great goal. Guard your yard. I remember working in South Carolina, and Coach Fogler every day would say, guard your yard. Control the defensive board. 75% defensive rebounding percentage is, I love that. No defense in the summer. I mean, that is because of the wear and tear. And I love coaches. Did you see the progression? 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4. I want to encourage you coaches to have a curriculum that involves a progression. And defense is built from guarding your yard into 5-on-5. I love this, coach. Don't let the ball see. Don't let the ball see. I love this, coach. You're very sure and certain about the way you want to play. And the minute coaches that are watching, the minute you're not, your players are going to be able to tell. The certainty is so important. Caitlin Clark, not a flush. That's
She's not a flush.
impressive. That's interesting, super interesting. I love that you can take your full court defense and make it a 1-2-2 or a 2-2-1. Your two-man scramble drill. Don't care if you get beat in the backcourt because your support is going to be there. And then over and over, a credit to you and your staff. You said this player has been in the program for a while. This player has been in a program for a while in a climate, in a culture of college basketball where we have multiple transfers every year. You said that multiple times. And that's so important. And you guys are doing a great job. Coach, your preparation and your clinic was amazing. I learned so much. And I'm sure the coaches across the country that are watching learned so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your elite preparation. Thank you for your God-honoring coaching. We'll be praying for Texas A&M and for you and your staff as you go through the season. And I'm very, very thankful. And I know coaches across the country are thankful for being able to spend some time with you this morning.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.
Thanks so much. So now, we have our Nations of Coaches character moment. We're super excited to introduce Kelly Kennedy. Kelly is our director of our effort with women's basketball. She does a really good job with that. And so Kelly, take it away on our Nations of Coaches character moment.
Wow. Thanks, Barclay. And Joni, thank you for the wisdom that you shared. I think the most amazing thing is where your heart is as a coach. And we're going to talk today about defense spiritually. And Joni, you talked about guarding your yard. So let's talk about guarding your yard, meaning your mind and your heart. That's your yard. So spiritually, defensively, Ephesians 6 tells us to arm yourself with the full armor of God. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the sword of the Spirit. The sword of the Spirit is the word of God, so that we can defend ourselves and stand firm against the strategies of the devil. In our own lives and in coaching, those attacks that come on us are the mental attacks, the words in our head that we struggle with. When I coached, as coaches, I think we want control, and the issues of the more I do, if I do more, if I spend more time, if I work more, if we practice more, that's going to translate to success. But how do you combat that spiritually? One, we talk to our players too about control what you can control. So as my own person, controlling what I can control and trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So how do you do that? That's the Bible tells us that. Trust in the Lord. The word of God is truth. Comparison is another one that can attack us. Comparison of facilities. Our life as coaches is comparison, the win-loss column. And how do you handle that? Do you get your identity in that win-loss column? And how do you measure up to coaches? Am I good enough? Because it's right there. You're in front of everybody. Your life is on comparison, really. So how do you combat that? One, obviously, as coaches, we're going to compete. We're going to be the best that we can be. But I want you to know spiritually, what does that mean? The sword of the Spirit, the word tells us you are enough. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are made in the image of God. So you are enough. And comparison, okay, I'm the best that I can be. And this is how I'm made, and I am loved no matter what. No matter if I win, I lose, I am loved, and I am enough. Judgment. Am I living up to the expectations of the fans, the administration? Now the donors, they're giving all this money in the NIL. And now are you doing enough? Are you getting the right players? Or what are you doing? But you're on constant judgment. As opposed to playing for those fans, playing for those, I'm going to play for, there's only one to please. And that's God. So playing for an audience of one, and I get to answer, am I working enthusiastically with all my heart, with all the gifts that I've been given, I've been blessed with? Am I working to honor God? Those other people, they don't matter. It's the one that matters. So we talk about defending your mind and your heart with the truth. The word of God is the truth. And I personally have one verse, my go-to verse that I live and die by. My trust in the Lord. Romans chapter 8:28. He works out all things for good for those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. And you might think, oh, good, he works out all things for good, so everything in my life is going to be good. But he works out all things for good according to his purpose. And his purpose might be, in that instance, somebody else's good. And I have to, again, trust in that. I trust in the Lord with my heart and my mind. So coaches, we love you. And Nations of Coaches, our heart is for you. It's to help you to guard your mind and your heart. If this is foreign to you and you're going, what are you talking about? Gosh, we're here to connect. We'd love to help you. If you do know what we're talking about, we're here to help and we're here to connect. So coaches, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing and have a great, successful season, and God bless you.
Kelly, thank you. I love how you said God's good may be for somebody else in that moment. What a great word of wisdom. And we just keep serving as God blesses us and blesses others. So thank you. What a great morning. If you want more information from Coach Taylor, her email is going to be on the screen here. That was a lot of incredible defensive information. She is willing to give you that information as you email her. And we're so thankful. Also, thank you to Nancy Mulkey, one of Coach's assistants who helped in the preparation of our webinar today, and one of Coach Taylor's assistants. Thank you, Nancy, for that. Next week, wow, what a treat. Ryan Pannone, Alabama led the nation in scoring last year. Ryan Pannone is the architect of that and does an incredible job at the University of Alabama, helped them get to the Final Four. We're super excited about having Ryan on our Nations of Coaches growth series. And then we'll enjoy learning from him. So have a great week, coaches. It's getting close to game time. We're praying for you. If we can serve you at the Nations of Coaches in any way, please contact us via email. We want to serve. We're here to serve coaches. So God bless you. We're praying for you, and have a great week.